Sarah. Let's talk about BB Canada. But first, if you are new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And if you'd like to join our Patreon, the link is below and up here. Unfortunately, David's not with me today, but he will be back, I promise. This video, we're gonna recap Sunday's episode, and then we're gonna get into spoilers, because the feed's lit. Sunday's episode starts coming out of Thursday's eviction. Obviously, we saw Michael go. Backdoor happened as planned. Michael's military training did not see Chris's mind games coming, apparently, so Chris says. We also see that Kyle is upset because Michael called out Kyle and Vanessa in his speech. Of course, obviously, Maddie's upset to lose Michael. But then we quickly go into the HOH competition. So we saw a little bit of that start on Thursday's episode. Slippery when wet, I believe is what it was called. Slippery surface. They're moving around, trying to get balls to put in other people's tubes. Yes! I love it. I love it when you have to show your cards. You have to show who you're working with and who you're not working with / targeting. Obviously, Maddie is going to be targeted right away. That's an easy one. And also, Vanessa and Kyle are going to be targeted by Maddie and Ree and JL, that group, former evictors. So we see them go out first. First Maddie, then Vanessa and Kyle. But we also see Min's strategy play out here, which is actually pretty smart because she doesn't really want to show her cards. She doesn't want to show who she's working with and who she's targeting. But what is clear in the house is that she and Angie don't get along. So why not target Angie and just make it obvious to everybody? So she's putting all the balls in Angie's tube. Angie's out next and obviously very upset with Min. Then Rhea gets out, then Min Lee, John Luke, Carol, then Hira, then Suzanne, then Jamar. We're down to Brooke and Sheldon. So obviously, people aren't thinking much about them. Those two just kind of flying under the radar at this point. And Sheldon puts his last ball into Brooke's. So Sheldon is now the HOH. Up until this point, I feel like Sheldon is so perfectly positioned in this house. He has been playing all angles so well. He's in with everyone. Everyone likes him. His social game is on point. He's so smart and sees what everyone else is doing. So I was a little scared that he's now all of a sudden HOH this early in the game. But what we see in his confessional to the DR, to us, is that he feels like this is the perfect time because there are so many easy targets that he can just go for and he's not really showing who he's actually aligned with. We see a little bit of the Angie and Min Lee conversation / argument. There was a lot more on the feeds. Min is trying to explain what I feel like we get as audience members. We understand what Min is saying. Angie's not her target to get out of the house, even though she was targeting her in the HOH. But obviously to Angie, like that doesn't make any of us better. And Angie does a really good job of shutting down Min and like, I'm not gonna take your bait. You saying my name puts a target on my back. You putting balls in my tube puts a target on my back. All of that is true. We're all playing the game of Big Brother here. So even though Min has these little angles that she wants to say, but I'm not really targeting you, it doesn't really matter in this game. We see Brooke and Sheldon touch base a little bit. Brooke is Sheldon's #1 ally. She is the one that he seems to be most loyal to. The two of them do talk about everything and share everything, and she really does work with him throughout his HOH. Then we get to see his HOH room reveal, which was really lovely because Sheldon is so strategically minded and is really good at setting aside all personal, all emotion, and just focus on the game. And even if someone's talking to him on a personal, emotional level, he just like seems so unfazed. He's a bit of a robot in this house. And so for him to be reading the letter from his brother and to get a bit teary was really lovely to see that he really does have feelings. He really is human and he's not full-on robot. But actually, Kyle is the one who is the most emotional through all of this. And I think that is true in the house. If we were to like rank their emotion, like Sheldon least, Kyle the most. It was really lovely to see Hera follow Kyle out and comfort him, because Kyle does leave the room early and sort of just has to have a cry about his family, missing his family. The KVBS alliance comes together, Kyle, Vanessa, Brooke, and Sheldon. Those four were working really well together, and they are discussing who's valuable, who they can use down the road, who needs to go sooner rather than later. Those kind of conversations, sort of putting together who the possible nominees will be. There has been some wrinkles in that alliance since, but at this point they seem pretty solid. We also of course see some different one-on-ones, people talking to the HOH. Even Jamar goes through Brooke trying to pitch to Sheldon, the HOH, because it's obvious that Brooke and Sheldon are working together. But ultimately, Sheldon's approach is, who are the easy targets? Who can I put up that's gonna get the least blood on my hands? And that leans towards the evictors. But he is growing closer and closer with John Luke. So John Luke is kind of falling off of this radar. And also there's conversations about Minley. Like, is she really crazy or is she genius? Doesn't matter, she stirs up chaos. She's always talking. She can't really shut her mouth. So she is dangerous and she has to be kept in mind, basically, is where Sheldon and his little group are coming to. The Expedia room all of a sudden has these arrival and departure signs pop up. So house guests are running in there, they're looking at it, do we need to memorize this? Then a room off of Expedia room opens up and it's like a beach, it's like a tropical destination. There's sand and they're looking around, they're kicking the sand, trying to figure out, is something hidden in there? Is there another Veto? What do these two rooms mean? We get a Jamar Min Showman segment, which I love that it is now a beef man's, because that's kind of what it is. Like, what are these two? They're fascinating to watch, but like in no way do I fully comprehend what is happening there. I think they really do dig each other. They started out like they were playing each other, but I think we've moved past that, and I think that they're like trying to just cover up the fact that they really do like each other. Sheldon takes Maddie on his Wendy's date, which is actually very nice because Maddie has been a have-not for 2 weeks in a row now. She's like barely eaten anything, so getting some Wendy's is nice. And also he knows he's probably gonna put her up, so this is a good time for them to be friendly, talk a little game. He does get a little tablet with a video message from his mom, and again we get to see a little bit of emotion from Sheldon watching that video with his mom. And then they get to the game talk, and okay, back to Robot Sheldon. He like straight up tells Maddie, the house hates you three, alluding to the evictors. But like, did you have to say the word hate, Sheldon? Like, I don't think that that's what that he means. Like, nobody hates them. That was a bit harsh. She gets a little teary. Obviously that's hard to hear. What he meant was the house has been working against you guys, so it's easy for me to just put you guys up. But he does not soften his words. And then he keeps that going, because then he has a conversation with Min where he's just like, nobody would care if I backdoored you. And she's like, what? She literally has a response for anyone and everything, and she had no response for that. That was such an like from left field way of phrasing that. I think what was interesting about that statement was he said backdoor. What he should have said in that moment is, no one would care if I nominated you, because we're about to do noms. But he said backdoor, which should have triggered in her brain that she is considered as a backdoor possibility, that she wouldn't be a nom, that he's thinking of that later. I think she was so thrown off by the fact that he said no one would care, so she was focused on that. She should have just tucked that back in her brain and realized that she was potentially going to be backdoored. Then we go into the nomination chamber. Oh, I still love it. Oh, the drama. I love it so much. Those faces. They're so lifelike. They're so creepy. It really looks like them. And I just feel like such a missed missed opportunity that they're not like, I don't know, knocking the heads down or like doing something with the heads. I mean, the lights are cool. It's like dun dun dun, and they're like Minley's face, ah, and he talks about each one of them. Okay. He comes out, and his final nominees are Maddie and Rhiannon. Of course, those are the easy two people to put up. It seems like at this point, Rhiannon is his target. That does seem like the person that he and his group, his alliance, have been talking about. They can't really trust her. Sheldon can't read her. And she is super smart in this game, and she is like clocking people. So I think that's totally valid. Like, if the two of them aren't going to work together, then they're obviously going to go against each other. But we also hear that Minley is a possible renom if somebody comes down off of the block. So let's go on to spoilers, because a few things have happened on the feed since this episode. Spoilers. Oh, that song is just so boring without David joining in. Okay, they have played Veto. This Veto was different and interesting. They played as pairs. The only thing I can think of or remember what's coming to mind is BB6. Like the first few Vetoes of that season, they played in pairs. And I find it fascinating because there is definitely a way that you can pair up with someone you're aligned with and protect both of you because you're both going to be safe. But also, if you don't have that person to choose and you just have to pair up with a random person that maybe you're not so close with, you don't know if they're actually working with you. You don't know if they're going to try and throw it so that you don't win. So it can be very, very interesting. Maddie chooses John Luke to play with. Rhiannon chooses Hira. Brooke and Suzanne play together. Chris and Kyle, and Minley and Vanessa play together. Maddie wins. So she gets the veto. She is able to pull herself off of the block, but because she played with John Luke, he is also now safe. Now, I don't think he was really in danger because he has done a good job of repairing a relationship or building a relationship with Sheldon. Sheldon does seem to like him. I don't think he was going to be the renom, but it doesn't matter. He's not an option. Maddie did pull herself off of the block today, and Sheldon did put Minley up as the renom. This is interesting because of all people, Minley has ways. She has things to say, things to do. She will not sit back quietly. And I can only imagine there's more to come in the days to come. She's already called a house meeting. She's already, calling out Vanessa, calling out Kyle. It does appear that Vanessa is a bit outed on some lies, but not to the level that it could have been. So, right, we have that 4-person alliance. Kyle, Vanessa, Brooke, and Sheldon. Vanessa is not super loyal to that alliance because she doesn't like Brooke. I'm not 100% sure where that started from or why it's such a deep-rooted hatred. But because Vanessa doesn't like Brooke, she is feeling free to say things about people to other people. She's not 100% loyal to this 4, and some of that has gotten back to this 4 and other people because most of this house just really can't keep their mouth shut. So I think that Brooke and Sheldon have their eye on Vanessa. They know that they can't trust her 100% now, but they also don't really want to rock the boat too much because Vanessa could blow up their spot completely, right? Like she could say a thing or two. So right now they're just kind of like trying to make Vanessa feel better. They're just blaming everything on Minley. Minley's the liar. Just say Minley's a liar and we'll believe you. Just trying to keep things kind of level. This house meeting, look, I have mixed feelings on house meetings because sometimes they're really exciting and fun to watch, but not a lot of good game comes out of a house meeting. It just depends on how it's executed. And unfortunately, Jamar is not taking this Minley being the renom thing very well. He thought that he and Sheldon were closer, but he was not able to convince Sheldon to go against this. Jamar really would have liked Kyle to go up, but Sheldon is not going to put Kyle up. So Jamar is realizing that his number one ally, Sheldon, is not really his number one ally. And even though it seems like they're mixed feelings about Minley, I mean, he jokes about voting her out all the time. I think he's got some deep feelings for Minley, and I think that ultimately he'd like to work with her, and now she's in danger. So this house meeting, which literally Minley was like sitting here and everybody was in a circle around her, like she was like head of the class, like let me start some stuff. But Jamar was the one who was like standing up and like interjecting and getting pretty emotional. And so Minley wasn't able to call a lot out. I mean, Vanessa did say, yes, her and Kyle are working together, so I've lied to you. So yes, Vanessa and Kyle do look a little shady, but not as much as it really could have been. And unfortunately, Jamar got super heated and there is some confusion about what he said. It seemed like he was indicating violence outside of the house, but it's not 100% what he meant. I'm being very careful about my words, but Kyle did point out, hey, you could get kicked out for that kind of stuff, and then feeds did cut. So will be interesting to see if Jamar was able to calm down and come back into the house, or if they had to make some sort of unfortunate decision to take Jamar out of the house. That's the kind of stuff that can come out of a house meeting, and we don't really want that kind of stuff to happen. So hopefully Jamar is still in the house and we can remember that we're playing a game and that everybody lies, and we can calm down and we can just see Min try to save herself, because I do feel like that's going to be entertaining, but I don't really think there's much she can do to swing the vote her way. So that's where we are with the house right now. If anything in the house does change, I will be back with a video. So if you are not already subscribed, click that bell so that you are notified when the video is posted. And hopefully David will be back with me next time. And hopefully you will be too. All right, I'll see you then. Bye.